It all started with a plastic peanut butter pretzel jar from BJ's that my husband told me I could not turn into a costume. He didn't think I could. He laughed at me, and so I knew I had to. This is going to be my Ahsoka Tano costume, and while I tried to make this a tutorial, it is definitely not a tutorial. So first and foremost, 0% chance that a regular kitchen scissor is going to cut through this plastic. Yeah, so that didn't work at all. Look at my husband in the background already laughing at me. He's like, I'll cut it for you, babe. And I'm like, it's not gonna work. And I was like, can you go get my favorite tool? So I have this tool that cuts through like basically metal, cuts through anything. And I was like, can you go get it for me? And so he did. And that is how we actually made it through this. So first I cut the rim off of this piece because it's just way too hard of plastic and there's no need to have that. This is going to be the headpiece for the Ahsoka Tano costume. Ahsoka Tano I thought was so cool. We watched Mandalorian and I thought it was one of the most boring shows ever. And then finally, like halfway through the season, this Jedi comes out and she's just kicking butt. And I'm like, who is that? That's what I want to be for Halloween. So my husband wanted to be Mandalorian and I wanted to be Ahsoka Tano. You do not need this plastic piece for your headpiece to make an Ahsoka Tano costume. I mean, you can buy it, but if I just like to use things I have. But since my husband laughed at me, I knew I had to do it. So once you actually get through the first ring, you don't need that really aggressive scissor anymore. You can just use the regular scissor. I'm going to fast forward through this because it's really not that important and it's kind of boring even for me to do a voiceover on it. You also don't need the bottom ring, and I'm going to cut that out. But the fact that we're like a minute into this, and this is on super fast mode, and I'm just cutting up a plastic container is absurd to me. But so I'm just going to go around, and I did look at the bottom part, and I was like, what can I use this for in the future? And I haven't figured anything out yet, but I will definitely use something. Okay, so here are the head pieces, and now I'm going to just like see how it will look, and I'm just trying to get the idea of what we're going to do with this. And now I'm like, all right, I also need the pieces that come in the back. So in this video, I show you how I make my original headpiece, and then my husband was like, I think you can do better than that. So I had to add some pieces on, but these are the original pieces that came down on my original headpiece. And I was just trying to figure out how like it's going to connect. And I used a lot of tape. And like I said, this is not a tutorial because A, I'm not good at doing tutorials, and B, I never follow like templates and stuff like that. Like my husband did the whole Mandalorian costume and he followed a lot of templates. He did a lot on his own too, but he did follow a lot of templates. And it's like, I don't have the mind for this. Like by the time I'm done cutting out the template, I want to be done with the project. I don't want to like now have to cut out the real piece. Do you know what I'm saying? Does that make sense? Anybody else feel that way? So I like to do things that I eyeball it. I eyeball everything from like our home decor to everything. I just eyeball it. So this is me putting it on my head and I'm like, okay, that's really not going to work because it's sticking out too far in the back. So I just have to kind of adjust that a little bit. We're just going to give it a little cut, like it's a little joint, and we're just going to tape it the new way because that's how everything I used in this entire thing. Like I did not buy a single thing. But if I did purchase things, it probably would have cost me quite a bit of money. But because I had the things in my house already, like this random jar, and I use a lot of packing material and I use a lot of packing tape, I'm a reseller, so I have that stuff all the time. And so I think if I went out and bought it, it would be a different story and I would use different products. But I like to use what I have like on hand at home. And so the packing material I got for free from my aunt who had the flood in her house and she was moving. And so I have so much packing material, I don't even know what to do with it. And I use it in all my packaging, but I still have so much, it's absurd. So I wound up using a lot of it for this costume. And I started and I put it in the hard plastic piece. And I thought, you know, if I can manipulate this packing material better than I can manipulate the hard plastic. And so that's why I was putting it towards the end of it. And I was able to like pull it forward to bring it forward. Because again, this is Ahsoka Tano 1.0. Like we do 2.0 at the end. I don't show you guys how I do it, but I will explain it pretty quickly. So I'm going to rush through some of this. We're just going to tape this. Oh, and I also made sure every piece of packing material had a piece of tape over it, just in case we had inclement weather, just in case it rained that day on Halloween, we were outside. And I just wanted to make sure that my whole costume wasn't ruined because the packing material got wet. So I made sure to put tape on the entire thing. Once I was happy with how it was sitting, I then taped it again. And this was just like the base of the packing material. We actually go over the top part with like, you know, the right colors and stuff like that. But I'm just twisting and I'm taping. We'll be right back. Oh, I want to show you guys, this is how we spent our entire end of September, beginning of October, whole month of October, was listening to Halloween music and both of us doing our costumes in our living area. Like this is our kitchen, living room, dining room. We don't have a huge house. And we just sat there and just literally had like the best time listening to like the Monster Mash on repeat and like just had so much fun. And I highly recommend If you have time to do it, I would definitely recommend doing your costume. It's just a lot of fun. And if you're still listening, because I might be boring you to tears, but if you're still listening, I do really recommend sticking around on my channel, because I'm going to have a lot of DIY costumes coming up. Every week I'm going to have a new one of semi-easy costumes that you can do with probably stuff that you have at home, and just show you guys things that I'm doing that are just easy. And maybe at the end I'll do like a big reveal of what my costume is, but maybe not, because I don't know if I'm going to have time to edit it before I post it. But anyway, let's just have some fun in the time being. Subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. So now it's time to tape these two plastic pieces together, because this is what's going to be at the base of my head. And so I'm taping it together, and that's what I'm doing right now. I mean, is there really anything else to say? Just put a crap ton of tape all over it to just have it sit on my head. And then there is a part at the top that kind of nicely sits on my head, which I really appreciate. It's where I cut off the hard plastic rim. There's like a little lip that kind of sits nicely, and I like that. Okay, now I'm actually going to get, this is the headpiece. So this is just packing material, and I just literally put it on my head to fit my head shape, and I'm cutting it and I'm taping the crap out of it. So again, I'm going to tape all the edges so I don't get any paper cuts, and I'm going to tape it together, and I'm going to put this piece that I was just doing on top of this that I just literally did. Does that make sense? So the plastic piece, that's the pretzel jar, is going to be taped onto this packing material piece that I'm doing as like basically a helmet. And you can see I'm doing all the edges. So like I said, I don't get a paper cut, but I realized I have to hide my hair somehow. And I think the best way to do it was with packing material that matched the color that I'm doing this whole thing with. So that's where we're at now. Okay, so the hardest part is over. That took us about 6 minutes at a really high speed. And now I'm going to take the same color packing material that I used for everything else, and I'm going to start drawing out the Ashoka Tano signature like blue pieces that she has. And unfortunately, I did run out of Sharpie for this, so I had to improvise and use different colors and mix them together. And I feel like when I think about it, Ashoka Tano is not a true blue. She has like variations of like a gray, green blue. And so the colors that I had to mix together, I actually think wound up working out nicer than the true blue. But anyway, that's completely irrelevant. I totally free-handed the blue pieces. I mean, I think you can kind of tell I've been freehanding everything. And trying to figure out how to get these on was interesting, but I just took it one step at a time, taping as I go, because we're taping everything. And it's really important, if you are going to make this out of packing material, I doubt you are, but if you are, or if you're going to make it out of some kind of paper, just make sure that you do put some kind of tape or plastic or something over it so that it does protect it from the elements, because we never know what Halloween's going to bring us. So I realized that the packing material didn't go all the way down, so I wound up coloring the fake lines on the bottom of this, but that's also irrelevant because I add more pieces onto this as I go. And so these pieces that I thought were going to come up to the side actually wind up going just in the back. And it winds up sitting on my head better that way too. But we're going to get there. We're going to get there. It's just, everything just takes so much time. We're just going to, tape it and just carry on. And yeah, I feel like it's really starting to come together. Like, I'm actually very, like, even watching this, I'm like, wow, I did do a pretty good job. Like, this was just totally me just having a day. Like, this doesn't even make sense at this point, because it's like, how is this even going to sit on my head? But don't you worry your pretty little head, because I'm going to figure it out. Because my husband told me I couldn't do it. So I was like, joke's on you. I can do whatever I want. And yeah, I think that's why he tells me I can't do certain things. Like, I think he does it like as a challenge. Like, he knows if he tells me I can't do it, like, I'm going to do it. So it's like, oh, I bet you can't do that. And it's like, oh, okay, bet you I can. And so, yeah. Okay. So now I'm going to put it on my head and show you guys what we're dealing with. At this point, I just have a headband on, and that's all that's holding it on my head. And my husband was like, Erica, I think that like you can do better than this. Like, you're doing a great job, but the headpiece is like the main part of Ashoka Tano, and you're just like, it's just kind of in the background. It's just not a hundo. Like, I feel like you can do better. And I was like, babe, thank you. I agree. But first I put on the entire outfit. So I'm going to break down exactly what I'm wearing. Like I said, nothing was purchased for this, so I do want to break down everything. So the headband that I'm currently wearing is not the one I wound up wearing, but that was sent to me for free to review. I have on an orange turtleneck, and I have on arm warmers that I made years ago out of old socks. And so I use them as arm warmers. My little gloves that I have on, I just thought added like a nice little touch. And those I got as a gift a few years ago. I have on a romper that I purchased from Poshmark. like, I don't know, maybe a year or two ago, and I just never wore it, and I was able to just turn it into an Ahsoka Tano costume. And then underneath that, I have a black mock turtleneck on, which I just thought added like the perfect amount. These shoes I wound up not wearing. I like the way these shoes look, but the other shoes I wound up wearing are more Ahsoka Tano. So I feel like this looks very Ahsoka Tano. I don't even have like my face makeup on yet, but what I decided to do was take 2 more things of packing material and put them on the sides, and the 2 that you see in the like right now on my shoulders, they actually wound up going in the back, and they held everything in place perfectly. And so that was my final outfit. This is my husband's outfit. He was a Mandalorian, and he just looks so awesome. He made his completely out of cardboard. We didn't film any of it. The only thing I filmed was when we were listening to, you know, Halloween music and the Monster Mash and stuff like that. And then this is us together. Like I said, I ended up changing my shoes. These are just my rain boots, and they just looked better. I also changed the belt out, and this was just like a necklace that I got from some place for free, and I just turned it into more of an Ahsoka Tano belt. And then I took the packing material, like I had said, and put it on the sides and just colored that in. And those are not the true blue. Those are like different variations of blue. And then last but not least was an orange face with some white drawings on it. So I used regular orange face paint that we had from my husband's Halloween costume last year when he was Beetlejuice. It came in like a set. And for the white lines, I just used an eyeliner, a white eyeliner pencil. It was just really easy to draw on my face with. And for the eyebrows, I used the white that we used for my husband's Beetlejuice costume last year too. That was in the set because I couldn't color in my eyebrows with the pencil. So that's the end.